Hello. Put the volume up a bit. Let's see if I can find myself. Hello. Ah, the volume's down. Hello. Yay, I'm live. Alright. Cool. Alright. Alright. Let's take a look at here where MUFON. This is a live stream about UFOs. I made a little art thing. Let's open it just to show. Alright, UFO, live stream, Space River News. Pretty much just live streaming, hanging out a bit, talking about UFOs and any UFO reports that I've seen lately. I'm gonna go over some MUFON reports, and then I'm gonna go over some UFO videos on YouTube. Just making this live stream because I haven't done a live stream in a little while. I've been busy with things in life, and just wanted to hang out and share some UFO stuff. Alright, let's begin. Alright, MUFON, Mutual UFO Network. Alright, just wanted to go through this website, and let's see, it says Blimp UFO photographed over Missouri. Take a look at this. Look at that UFO triangle wedge image. Pretty much, it could be a blimp, it could be an actual UFO, or it could be a bird going so fast it looks like a Twinkie over some trees. So it's pretty interesting to look at these images that they put here on the MUFON network. Blimp UFO photographed over Missouri. So it could be a blimp, or it could actually be a UFO. That's interesting. It reminds me, there's a Greensboro UFO that here in Greensboro that was reported here in North Carolina, and I find it interesting because at the time I was going on a trip out to a funeral. But I was kind of in the back of my mind thinking, wow, there's a UFO report in this area. Let me keep my eyes to the sky and see, if there are any UFOs happening. I didn't see anything at all, but it was quite interesting, Let's play this video and see what it shows. Kind of looks like it's phasing in and out. That's one thing that I find interesting about so many things that I've read about UFOs, that they phase in or they come in from another dimension. Who knows? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe it's actually military planes, but you never know. If the military has advanced enough technology to phase out into another dimension, you never know with the technology that they have. But it's pretty interesting that this UFO, if it is an actual ET UFO, that it could be phasing in and out of a dimension and coming into solid reality. You see here in the video, it actually kind of phases out and then it kind of phases in. It looks like an orb, and then it looks like mist, and then it kind of looks solid again. That is quite an interesting take into what many people have thought about UFOs. Are they real? Are they from another dimension? Are they like mist and then become solid? It's quite interesting. Alright, let's take a look at some UFO reports from MUFON. Two United Kingdom witnesses at Wrexham reported watching three unusual craft from a distance that quickly moved to the treetop level and less than 20 feet away, according to testimony case 93128 from the Mutual UFO Network Witnesses Reporting Database. The event began at 1:30 a.m. on July 3, 2018. Observed a star-like object in the sky over a farmer's field approaching from night. The reporting witness stated believed it to be ISS until it suddenly curved direction and started to descend. Another object of identical appearance then appeared on far left of sky and accelerated to the first object. They avoided each other and continued hovering and moving in severe yet smooth movements. The witness observed these for 2 to 3 minutes. An orb of light then materialized approximately 12 feet above us and fired diagonal towards the object. Orb appeared like a mini explosion of light and approximately the size of a baseball. Orb consisted of a solid white light yet dim in center and beige, sandy, X-shaped object in its core. No sound. Two witnesses, one experienced severe terror and evacuated field immediately. Object no longer visible after exiting the field. So you see here in this report, it appears to be an orb and then an explosion of light. And then it consisted of a solid white light yet dim in the center. So this seems a bit similar to what we were just talking about. The UFOs seem to be either a mist or a light, and then they turn into solid objects. That is quite eerie, because it could be, interdimensional, and then turn into light, and then turn into objects. That's kind of one of the things that I've heard in many of the reports where people see beings walk the walls, or they move through a craft. In like some of the books that I read, they move through a craft through the walls, like they kind of just float through, like if they were ghosts. That's kind of interesting report there. All right, next, multiple Argentina reports suggest strange investigations. This is a report about some unusual cases that the Mutual UFO Network received from witnesses in Argentina during the summer and early months of 2017. There were more than 20 sighting reports filed with MUFON, mostly from southern parts of Argentina. These reports came from the province of Santa Cruz and more specifically from Patagonia. The first few reports I reviewed did not seem to make sense. They were not UFO sightings for the most part. The reports were primarily about sightings of white helicopters and white 4x4s, SUVs. Whether or not the UFO was reported, the narrative in these submissions talked constantly of something about which everyone seemed upset. If there was a UFO sighting, witnesses also observed a white helicopter or white vehicles. That just sounds like the government showing up. And the sign in the photo above on the sides of the vehicles, this photo right here of the red circle with the PEN8IC or BIC. That's a strange symbol. Reading the narratives of Argentinian witnesses, it did not take long to realize they were not afraid or upset by UFOs. They were upset about the men in white, the men and women in white helicopters and vehicles. But what's the problem? It's not immediately clear. The first narrative I read was from a woman named Maria, case 88798. Her case was listed as a CE 3.3 entity case, so it caught my attention. It turns out she had submitted an old family story about her grandfather seeing an entity in 1904. I closed the case as an info only and wrote her to thank her in email for submitting a report. Maria's response is not what I expected. I sent data from the time of the national director of MUFON, but he did not answer me. Over the months, they contacted me in Argentina, Patagonia, researchers with whom we could conduct field visits and tests. We subjected us to different kind. We reviewed with them old documents and family photographs, and we attended its recovery and digitization. We signed with them as management contract and confidentiality. They ran with it at all costs, and they now have documents and original photographs. We were told that we're going to compare them with other research in the area and includes everything in our database. They're holders of Quantum Labs, South Integrated Technology Labs, Global JW Red Systems, Iris Global Initiative, Line Earth Global Observation Network, Patagonia, EXA 3 Global, and other organizations. Its owners is Dr. Sek Javier Walter Sophia. While this raises hundreds of questions, what is the name of the group this Dr. Sophia is in charge of? Who is paying costs to get all the UFO information from witnesses in Patagonia, even if they have submitted reports to MUFON? I started to research some of the companies in the narrative above. I could not find out ownership information about several of them. One of the companies, Global JW Red Systems, I initially thought was Johnny Walker Red Scotch, whose parent company is Diego. Turned out later this was incorrect. I really wasn't finding much about these names. Another question that kept coming up for MUFON: where was the national director of Argentina? CMS shows she stopped completing cases about the same time as these cases. For the moment, I put this case aside, knowing too many pieces of the puzzle were still missing. The search began for any other case that reported these white helicopters and vehicles. The oldest case I found mentioning such was from April of 2017, submitted by a woman named Stella at CE53 case with a sighting of a circular object, and case number is 83053. Turns out Stella hadn't had her own UFO sighting either, but I felt obligated to report the story from Rio Gallegos to the US. The story is about a family that apparently observed a white orb. Here's a narrative translated from Spanish. So this is an interesting case that there is apparently people in white vehicles and SUVs and helicopters in Argentina. This is something that is similar. There's here in the United States, pretty much a lot of people report if they have a UFO sighting, they report helicopters coming in, Black Hawk helicopters unmarked, and then like suspicious activity. They have seen vehicles come, but that's usually either in reports where they say they have had an object down or they've seen creatures or something, and then they have a lot of UFO reports and reports of men in black, which is something that's kind of like a lore in the UFO community. Um, Hopefully that doesn't happen to any of you guys out there, but it's quite interesting to see that Argentina also has their white helicopters and white people dressed in white and their SUVs. All right, next, saucers, UFOs over Wyoming campsite. A Wyoming witness at Midwest reported watching a green glowing ball about the size of a basketball hovering near a campsite, according to testimony in case 95874 from the Mutual UFO Network MUFON Witness Reporting Database. The witness was camped 50 miles west of Midwest and was staying in a canvas tent at 9:53 p.m. on October 16, 2018. I couldn't sleep and was sitting in my truck when I saw two large saucer-shaped craft moving vertically in unison on the horizon, the witness stated. I then noticed a green glowing object about the size of a baseball within 50 yards of me. There was something resembling a bag of about 2 feet in length below the ball, and I could never get a clear look at it. The witnesses watched this object, which was moving within 40 to 400 yards of the tent to nearly 1 hour. I tried apparently to figure out what the object was doing with no success. It would go from hovering to vibrating to moving very fast, seemingly at random with no discernible purpose. I remember saying aloud to myself, "This cannot be real." As if it heard me or read my thought, it immediately moved east approximately 400 yards, then returned to hover over me approximately 40 yards. The witness recalls the object movement as a blur. I remember saying out loud, "Okay, you're not fake." I hovered there for a moment, and this was the only time during the encounter that I felt uneasy or threatened. Shortly thereafter, it returned to its random movements. The witness then returned to the tent to wake up a hunting partner, but with no luck. I returned to my truck, and there's where my memory stops. I woke up in my sleeping bag the next morning. My hunting partner asked me if I'd tried to wake him up saying something about lights. I told him it was nothing, just a meteor. At that point, I was sure he wouldn't believe me. I have a feeling of losing time and memory. My eyes were irritated and red for 2 days afterwards. My throat and mouth were extremely sore for 4 or 5 days, and my lower lip appeared burned, turning white, then peeling, with 5 small scabs on it. My ears also rang for several days. I have never had any previous UFO experiences, and this episode has left me quite unnerved. Alright, that is pretty spooky to be camping and then see lights and then think something and then have the vehicle or whatever you're seeing react to it, and then have the response of blacking out and not remembering, but having physical evidence or physical things like ringing ears, um, throat and mouth sore, and all these effects. This kind of gives me the clue that either this person did encounter something and something happened to him afterwards, which he has no memory of. My advice to this person would be go to a hypnotist and see if anything else comes up. Maybe you had a encounter with something and you need to see what happened. Um, the many cases like this happen where UFOs are seen and then people don't have memory of what happened, and then the next day they're just moving on. But if they go through a hypnotist, they might recover some of the memories of what happened in their missing time. All right, next. Iowa witness describes circular object at treetop level. Actually, let me look at my Hangouts, Google Hangouts. Go to YouTube here. Go to my live stream. Let's see if there's actually anybody in the chat. Sometimes I have people in the chat, sometimes I don't. It depends on what is happening. Let me say hi to, let's see. Hello, people in the chat. Hello. Alright, nobody in the chat. Oh, Morgan. Yeah, there's Morgan. Hey, Morgan. Hey, Morgan, what's up? Alright, glad to see you again. Let's see if there's any more MUFON information we could go through. Alright, Iowa witnesses describe circular object at treetop level. Alright. At treetop level. An Iowa witness at Alwyn reported watching a black object with red lights at treetop level, according to testimony case 92591 from the Mutual UFO Network MUFON Witnesses Reporting Database. The witness was outside having a cigarette about 1:15 a.m. on June 9th, 2018. I happened to be looking at the sky because I heard like a helicopter noise, and I saw a circular shaped object that had red lights that was flying behind a tree in a straight line. The witness stated, I really didn't have any necessary feelings about it, just kind of odd, I guess. I mean, I watch UFO shows with that type of thing, so I kind of look out for stuff to begin with, which is why I'm writing this. But in a way, it kind of looked like it could have been a drone or something like that. But I've never seen one around here, and I've never seen one fly at night, so it's kind of a quiet look that way. Alright, so that's something that is also true. There are many drones out there. There are people flying drones, people recording for TV shows, flying drones around. So it's one thing to keep in the back of your mind if you're ever going out to either spot UFOs or just decide to look at the stars or something. Question whether it could be a drone, whether it's a rocket, whether it's a satellite, whether it's a planet. You never know when planets align and there's more shinier objects in the sky at night. So it's always good to question whether it's a blimp, whether it's something that you have any idea that is something known and terrestrial. And I think that's one thing I do if I ever see mysterious things in the sky. I kind of leave the UFO label for one of the last things, because I've seen things in the sky and I thought, what is that? And then it turned out to be a blimp, a hot air balloon, actual hot air balloon. And then you're like, oh, cool, a hot air balloon. But it's something to keep an eye and also to keep in the back of your mind, not to label the things you see in the sky as UFOs instantly. You gotta go through a couple of steps and try to rationale it out. All right, next. Washington UFO hovers before shooting away. A Washington witness at Lacey reported watching an object that hovered momentarily before shooting away, according to testimony in case 96229 from the Mutual UFO Network. Witnesses reporting database. The witness was driving home from work at 6:09 in pitch black on November 7, 2018. I was pulling out of the school driveway, the witness stated, and I stopped to check for cars. And while I stopped at the exit to the school, a green light shot past above my car. Hovering for maybe a couple of seconds, it had a green, unwavering light. The witness at first thought it was fireworks, but then it was too big and stayed way too long for it to be a firework. It's also November. The object was long and almost clear, but black, and then I don't know where it went. The light vanished, and after that, I had this feeling one gets after passing out where your whole body feels like it was hit by a truck. And I forgot what I was doing, and my whole body felt like jello for the rest of the night. And on my way from dropping my boyfriend off at home, I was too scared to drive back home at night. That is an interesting report of a flashing green light over their car while they're driving. Alright, next. Cigar UFO spotted over Illinois. An Illinois witness at St. Charles reported watching a cigar-shaped object moving overhead with lights on both ends, according to a testimony case 89610 from the Mutual UFO Network. The witness and her husband were looking out a front kitchen window about 9:30 p.m. on January 3rd, 2018, when the incident began. Our window overlooks the covered deck, but we like to watch the planes coming and going in and out of the airport in Chicago, the witness stated. From the side of the window that I was standing, I noticed a bright light and saw a cigar-shaped object with bright lights on the front and back of the object. The witness then altered her husband. It moved so fast at the time I told my husband to move over to my side and up and look up, it had moved out of sight. It appeared to come from the northwest and headed southeast out of sight. It made no sound and was a dark metal color with no light between the front and back lights. That is interesting. Next, witness says hovering object shone light onto street. A New York witness at Mercantville reported watching a silent hovering light that shined light onto the street below. That is an interesting one. I have barely, there's many reports that I've read. I've read tons of UFO books, but very rare that there's a report of an actual light shining down onto a street. All right, so it says a New York witness at Mecanville reported watching a silent, hovering light that shined the light onto a street, according to testimony case 89364 of the Mutual UFO Network. It was up all night with sick kids, so when this happened, I thought, I'm tired. Mine was playing tricks on me. The witness said, I saw a glow of light light up my window sill in front of my computer desk. I then looked out of the window to see someone had pulled into my driveway. The witness then noticed a decent-sized light in the sky, not too far above the power lines along the street. The light was not moving and was very bright white. It only took about a minute or two for the time I started watching it for it to shine a beam of light down on the side of the road. The light beam only lasted a few seconds, but afterwards it went away. No more light and no more beam. I never saw it again. Completely silent. Not a noise at all was heard. The next morning the witnesses went outside to look around. I noticed that the snow had fallen everywhere but one spot. A perfect circle of bare grass with snow all around it. It is the weirdest thing. That is interesting. That reminds me of crop circles, where there's a crop circle, and then later on in the year, when the snow falls, the snow won't uh, be in the crop circle area, but leave an imprint where the crop circle was. That's interesting that she went outside and there was a perfect circle under the grass with snow all around it, but no snow in the circle. That is quite interesting. All right, let's skip the missile launch one and go to witness reports UFOs forming semicircle. A Massachusetts witness at Lowell reported watching multiple hovering lights that formed a semicircle. According to testimony case 89276 from the Mutual UFO Network, the reporting witness stated that her husband went outside onto the deck to use a barbecue grill at 5:30 p.m. on January 1st, 2018. He pointed out a bright light which appeared to be hovering in the distance. On the left side of our property, the witness stated. He then pointed to the opposite side of our property, and there were between 5 to 7 very bright lights which also appeared to be hovering. The witness said when looking from right side of their home to the left, the objects were clearly forming a semicircle. And since then, there were some trees obstructing our view. We ran inside to a large window in the dining room on the side of the house. From there, we were able to get a very clear view of the lights on the right of our house. None were moving, all appeared to be hovering. We questioned if there were perhaps planes, but again, they were not moving and there were no additional lights on them. Also, I'm sure planes would not even be allowed that close to proximity to each other. I assume being that close, they would be considered in each other's airspace. The two sat watching for about 20 minutes and then the objects abruptly disappeared. They did not fly away or dim, they just simply disappeared. My husband took video from inside the house, which did not come out good, likely due to the window glare. Shortly after they disappeared, about 10 minutes, another appeared by itself. I took a video of this one from our deck. It is not good quality. You can only tell there's a bright light, but you can plainly see that it is not moving, just hovering. We're not totally sure what we saw, but there was definitely not planes. Very curious to know if anyone else in the area saw this as well. We live in Lowell, Massachusetts. The Concord River is directly to the left of our house. That is quite interesting to see people seeing lights and them vanishing. But they stuck around for a while. They stuck around for 20 minutes. I've been reading a lot recently and seeing some videos about David Wilcock. And David Wilcock talks about the government having secret projects that they're already in contact with aliens, that they already have a space program that travels to different worlds and things like this. But what I find interesting is that the possibility that a time is coming when these beings might show up and actually show up for society, show up and people be aware of that they're here. And one thing is many UFO reports, but then also when is disclosure coming? That's one thing that I find very interesting and I like to talk about. Okay. Next, witnesses say choppers followed triangle UFO. Oh, that's interesting. A Wisconsin witness at Orville reported watching two helicopters apparently following a triangle-shaped object, according to testimony case 89435 from the Mutual UFO Network. The witness was westbound along Highway 11, heading toward Brohead at 5:20 p.m. on January 8th, 2018. I saw a green Conti helicopter hovering over Broadhead, the witness stated. Pretty normal. They always come around. Then to my left, I saw another chopper heading south going directly over me. Wanted to get a better look. I turned to look for the helicopter and tree line ends at this point. When I see it, I don't know what this was, but it was at least 4 times the size of the chopper and had two extremely bright white-blue like daylight bulbs, lights coming from the rear that flashed every second or so. The witness pointed out having grown up around the airport. There were no green and red lights, and it was way too big and moving way too slow to be a plane. Plus, the size of the lights would have been an entire wing of a passenger jet. I have no idea what I saw, but two choppers were watching it too. The one followed it all the way from the Illinois border, I guess because the chopper flew south and stopped for a minute, then turned around and headed back. Everyone can give me garbage for not having my phone, but I was just going to grab some food quick and this was not a joke. Wisconsin UFO State Director Susan Bratton's closest case is an unknown aerial vehicle. So as we're talking earlier about the Argentinian UFO cases where they report helicopters and people in white cars and things like this, here we have a case in Wisconsin where a man sees two helicopters and then a UFO. So they are not rare. These cases are happening where people see UFOs and helicopters combined. All right, cases of interest. Shapeshifting UFOs. UFOs encounters might be frightening as witnesses observe never before seen objects moving in incredible ways, but some sightings are further stressed when the object morphs into different shapes. 4 shape-shifting UFO sightings were listed at the recently released book UFO Cases of Interest 2018 edition. A New Mexico witness at Albuquerque reported watching a boomerang-shaped object just 500 feet away that hovered and seemed to change shape while moving, according to testimony case 82456. The witness was outside walking north on a lunch break at 12:30 p.m. on March 2nd, 2017. A light gray shape caught my eye, the witness stated. The object was approximately 500 feet away and about 50 feet in the air over a building. At first I thought it was just a flock of birds. That's interesting. What kind of birds could those be? It seemed to be moving east in a slow flutter. Then it disappeared like it folded back into the sky. The witness thought that was strange. It reappeared in a fat boomerang shape. It seemed to be made of multiple light gray, possibly reflective objects, but working together like a school of fish or sequins on a purse or a dress. It did seem to have a common background that was dark gray or black. It was like fluttering. It still paused and hovered and moved backward just slightly. At this point, a bare tree blocked the view, but the witness kept walking to see the object again. When I saw that shape again, it had changed. It seemed to be a soft, billowy, upside-down parachute shape at the bottom of a puffy cloud or a puffy factory smoke. It almost convinced me it was the deflated weather balloon, but there was no top to the shape, only a distinct bottom. The color of this object seemed to blend with the sky. I could only decipher a dark gray sitting in the bottom of the cloud or parachute. Then the object changed again. Now it became almost transparent, as if the sun was reflecting on an invisible craft. Now there really is no overall shape that I could make out. I saw a few smaller, very rigid shapes, like flat prisms on solar panels, and they seemed to fall backwards into the object, and then the whole object faded away. The witness said these events occurred about 20 to 25 seconds. That is interesting to have different shapes of it morphing. I've heard people say that sometimes the crafts are alive or they're living, they're actually part technology, part living beings. And that is something interesting to ponder. What if there are actually such advanced technology that they are actually able to morph and change shape? And I've heard of technology of a computer type technology that is basically an organic computer, that it's really advanced and it works better than a regular computer because it's organic. It doesn't have to rely on programming. It's actually like a living computer. I don't know if our government has actually reached this level of technology yet, but it is quite interesting to see reports showing objects that change shape, and that just reminds me of that type of technology. All right, this looks like to be a triangle UFO. Case of interest: UFOs creating dead silence. Sound deadening of Mother Nature. Natural noise is one thread UFO witness report when unusual crafts move close. 4 cases where natural sound was absent during a UFO event were reported in the Mutual UFO Network's MUFON new book release, UFO Cases of Interest. In addition to other case elements, all of the witnesses note the exclusion of natural sound during the event. A Pennsylvania witness at Camp Hill reported watching a circle-shaped light the size of a house hovering at the tree line that appeared to mesmerize both the witnesses and a dog, according to testimony case 82029. The witness's dog was witnessed at 2:17 a.m. on January 7, 2017, and was immediately taken outside to the backyard. She immediately ran around the pool 4 times without ever stopping to go to the bathroom, and then stopped in the middle of my yard facing the field beyond my backyard. The witnesses stated, all of a sudden, a bright light appeared at the end of this field. The witness described the light. It was perfectly round and about the size of a house. The light was hovering slightly above the trees. There was no origination point either above, left, or right of this light. The light tiled downward, and at that point the light appeared to be oval-shaped. The edges of the light were defined with no shadows or extending light from it. There were no noises or sounds. As a matter of fact, everything was unusually still and very dark that evening. The witness became frozen and mesmerized by the light source. That is quite interesting. A UFO the size of a house. That's kind of interesting. And also, the lack of sound. That is what I've read, from what I can recall. Any reports that have to do with sound, usually if there's a lack of sound, there's either people not noticing this UFO, and then the people are that are noticing the UFO are kind of mesmerized how nobody pays attention, kind of like they're in a frozen time loop, or they're caught in a dimensional rift where there's no sound and the people around them are oblivious to what's happening. And that's interesting that there's reports like this where there's a lack of sound with UFOs. I have heard reports of UFOs not having sound, and I've heard reports of UFOs having either really quiet when traveling, and only when they leave do they make sound. But it's very, very usual, or it's very normal to hear about silent UFOs. All right, let's take a look at some videos. Kind of a little bit tired of reading all these reports. All right, this is another UFO in North Carolina. It says, did a man film a UFO hovering over a North Carolina lake? Let's take a look at this. You see the UFO here, or whatever object this is. It looks like a giant wing triangle over the lake. Let's zoom in a little bit here. It does seem to be a bit longer than a regular plane. It looks to be like a wing, or like either a wedge or a triangle flying in over the trees. Very interesting. Play it again. Alright, this is from Inside Edition. Quite interestingly, Inside Edition is sharing UFO stuff, but apparently North Carolina is very active with UFOs. Alright, this one's from Greensboro. Let's see what else we have. Yes, this is from UFO Planet TV. These are some UFOs, and it looks like 5 UFOs. There's 5 discs glowing light in a formation, misty, transparent, glowing white light. Let's fast forward a bit, see what else they have. A saucer-like object with porthole alongside, yellowish in color, appeared in cloud, camouflaged in setting sun. Let's see if they have a better... Here we go. A better close-up of it. Kind of looks like a disc. Might have windows on the edges on the right-hand side. That's what this kind of picture just reminds me of interdimensional ships, meaning that they could either be dimensionally there, or it's just lights from somewhere else. That's something that's really interesting, is what if it's not just ships and UFOs? What if it's just things coming interdimensionally? You never know what could be in other dimensions, just popping through, just going slightly from one side or the other, and popping up dimensionally. If planes could vanish and disappear in different dimensions, who knows, Who knows what else? Oh, I'm lagging. Yeah, hey boo. Hard time these days, what you're seeing. Got a bail, great live stream, keep looking up. Cool. Alright. Uh, Alright. Saying hey sweetie and also hey Morgan, thanks for stopping by. Alright, yeah, just doing a live stream. Alright. Saying hi to David Holcomb and saying hi to Morgan Weaver, who says he's got a bail, great live stream, keep looking up. Alright. Let's take a look at other UFO videos, see what's up. This one from Secure Team 10. Check out that channel. Secure Team 10 is an awesome channel. He has a lot of UFO stuff and a lot of interesting cases. This one's from England. It says here there has been a lot of interest in the fact that our pilots observed UFOs last night during night flying exercises. So here's a brief summary of the situation. Event: unidentified airborne nocturnal lights, location south of Gloucester. Event outline: two of our aircraft were conducting night navigation exercises to the south and southeast of our home airfield. Approximately 2015, one of our craft was tracking south towards Gloucester at 7,000 feet after leaving the Birmingham air traffic zone. At the same time, one of our aircraft was also tracking south towards Gloucester at 4,000 feet when both aircraft observed one red and one orange light in the sky south of Gloucester. Our aircraft appeared the lights in our interception track, but were unable to gain the object as they appeared to move further south of Gloucester. As our aircraft approached, we were unable to identify the lights. One of our pilots filed the following report of the event. I observed initially two large, strange orange lights, one on top of each other, but slightly offset. However, there was a gap in height between them. The top object was constantly orange. The lower one was occasionally flickering white. The majority of time was orange. In addition to that, on two occasions, I observed 5 orange lights, but that was momentarily. I initially observed them when leaving Birmingham control zone. I thought they were just south of Gloucester, and definitely a lot of us when they climbed to 5,000 feet, and they seemed level at that height and stationary. So it's quite interesting to see this light appearing in Gloucester. It almost looks like a picture of the sun, but there have been many red lights appearing lately. Lately, the reports have been about red lights, UFOs. So I don't know if it's a wave of UFOs or it's the same UFO appearing in different areas of the country. But that is quite interesting from Secure Team 10. Check him out. He has awesome content. Alright, and this is also another Secure Team 10 video. It's a UFO. Let's see here. And apparently it is in infrared. Here you see the orb or whatever circle of the UFO just appearing in infrared there on the video. Let's see what else happens. It elevates itself, kind of travels to the right of the screen, and then it turns into a more solid object. So in the trending of what I've seen, a lot of UFOs appear to be lights or mists, and then they solidify and turn into different shapes. Alright, let's keep on going here. See what... That's the North Carolina UFO. Let's read it. Strange pill-shaped object seen pulsing in North Carolina sky ignites UFO debate. What was it? Video of a random flashing object in the sky outside of Greensboro, North Carolina, has ignited an ongoing debate on social media, including claims others have seen the same mystery object. In the 5-minute video is magnified and slowed down, the pill-shaped object is seen soaring through the sky and producing a series of flashes. This video was posted on Saturday and has been viewed thousands of times since being picked up by YouTube channels devoted to UFOs and unsolved mysteries, including Hidden Underbelly 2.0. It is credited by Brett Jones, known as Space Brett on YouTube, who explains in the video that the weird thing was spotted Friday, January 25th, while he was trying to film birds outside of Greensboro. I noticed a strange flashing light in the sky near an airplane. It was moving slowly in the sky, a little slower than planes flying around. Jones says on YouTube, I did not think I captured it at all because the focus would only hunt and not lock on. However, he says later it magnified the footage by 900% and slowed it down to reveal a glinting pill-shaped object that produces flashes from its two ends. When I saw it, it just blew me away, and it was not what I expected at all, Jones said on YouTube. I did not know what it was. At least one person has suggested nothing more than a mylar balloon with string or Wi-Fi extender antenna balloon, in part because it looks like objects might have a tether at one point in the video. However, Jones says it wouldn't explain the flashing and vanishing, and the suspected tether could also be the object ejecting some kind of fuel. Others seem to agree, with one person noting it appears to warp and then out. Several people are reporting seeing the same thing and having trouble filming it. I saw a similar one in Winston-Salem on the 25th in the late afternoon, posted Julia Hedgenar on YouTube. It happened so fast, it blinked out just like that. I've seen this flash at night in the past year now, posted Skyhound in response to the video. I clearly know the difference between planes, satellites, iridium flares, meteorites, helicopters, etc. This is different. It seems to flash incredibly bright with no pattern. It even fades out into a dull red light occasionally. North Carolina has been a scene of reported UFO sightings for decades, though some have later been explained away as commercial blimps or military aircraft reported by the Charlotte Observer last year. So it is quite interesting. Let's take a quite zoom into this. This is what the North Carolina UFO looks like. It has like two white ends and then kind of like a grayish middle. Interesting. Alright. So there's a lot of activity with UFOs in the North Carolina area. Well, hopefully if I ever do see anything else, I'm going to either try to record it and try to see if I could take pictures. That's if I do ever see any other UFOs here in North Carolina. Alright, so I think that's the end of my live stream. I'm going to say hey to Morgan Weaver. Thank you for stopping by, always supporting the channel. You're awesome. Thanks to David Holcomb for stopping by and saying hello. And thank you for whoever watches this stream later on. May God bless you and watch over you. And if you see any UFOs, please take a picture or at least report it to the MUFON UFO Network, because it's quite interesting to read and it's awesome to share this stuff. And it's quite interesting also that even though a lot of people don't believe in UFOs, there are still so many people that report it, and there's an awesome community out there sharing information and supporting each other. So if you ever decide to stop at a UFO conference or any listen to David Wilcock, it's quite interesting, the reports and things he has to say. So check out that, and God bless you guys. All right, that's it for my live stream. It might take like a minute or two for it to shut off like it usually does, but that's it. See you guys next time. God bless.